Capital Hoops here, joined with the Gonzaga Eagles, head coach Steve Turner, Jared Turner, Devin Dinkins, Quinn Clark, team captains, tri-captains. Appreciate you guys joining me for a few minutes. I watched parts of your double overtime win last night at Carroll. It was looking a little hairy there at the end of regulation, but y'all figured out a way to get it done. And just wanted to check in with you on that game, on how the season's going, and anything else y'all have on your mind. So Coach Turner, I'll start with you. I know Carroll is a tough place to play, a DC WCAC rival for you. Take me through last night's game.
Well, I mean, you're as we go through the season, what we're looking like to be a full season through this COVID pandemic. You got a lot of schools with different protocols, and certainly they have maybe the biggest and strictest and toughest one. So you're in an environment where you're testing to be able to make sure your guys can play, screenings throughout the day, screening to go in, and then an empty gym. So it almost feels like a closed scrimmage environment. Not even a regular start up to a game with no national anthem, no player introductions, just toss it up and play. And I know our young men, had their ways of getting their heads right to get ready for a game, and it wasn't the normal, typical environment. So figuring that out, I had to say hats off to them for finding a way to get a win in a tough environment and against a tough team in the WCAC.
Do you think any team has an advantage in a situation like that? I mean, Carroll's used to doing that because that's their norm. Does that give them any sort of small advantage because they've gone through that procedure every home game this year, or not?
I think so. I definitely think so. I think because it's the protocol is different than everybody else's. So
Right.
So for some, I mean, we're not talking about grown adults. We're talking about young men who have a mindset of the way they get ready for games, and to have that kind of broken, I'm sure it could affect anyone. I think it could affect the grown adult. So I certainly believe it can affect these young men. But I have to say they were resilient, and as a team, they figured out how to gut out a team win.
Guys, talk to me about last night's game. I didn't see the first three quarters. I tuned in midway through the fourth quarter, but looked like a dogfight. And you guys were very resilient and figured out a way to get it done.
Yeah, last night was a good game. Carroll, they came out fighting hard. We had to go through a lot of adversity throughout the game, but together we stuck together as a team and was able to come out with the win.
Yeah, it was definitely a scrappy game throughout. Went back and forth a couple of times, but we had a lot of big contributors on the bench, and everyone stepped up and we just found a way to get it done.
Yeah, give it up to those guys at Carroll. They came out, punched us in the mouth, but we had to bounce back. Like Dev said, go through some adversity, and we really came together in there.
Take me through that home run play. I was watching that. It was right out of a timeout. Y'all were down 2. Was that the end of regulation or the end of the first overtime?
I think that was the end of the first overtime, actually.
I assume that was the play that was drawn up in the huddle, obviously, but it seemed to work to perfection.
Nah, we actually it wasn't really drawn up in the huddle. Me and Q, I don't know, we kind of have some chemistry on the court. I saw him, he made a motion to go backwards. I saw him coming up to get the ball, but then he went and I just threw it to him. It was a good pass, and he found a way to finish it.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Quinn.
Yeah, we just made eye contact, and then I just had to finish. Great pass from Jared.
Coach, tell me about that type of chemistry. I mean, that, to make a play in that situation like that maybe isn't the play you had drawn up, takes chemistry, I don't know if courage is the right word, but just a little gumption.
I mean, I think you see that this team, throughout the season, thus far and even up to that point, have had a chemistry to figure out how to make themselves be able to have success. And I mean, that play, I think, is a testament to them growing thus far together and knowing that we still got a ways to grow over the next 6 games before we hit the playoffs. But for them to be able to have that chemistry, to be able to recognize that, hey, there's an opportunity for us to get one here that they may not recognize, man, hats off to them. I mean, and I think we had a few plays like that the other night I mean, there was a play where I called for a set, and Devin kind of called me off and called another play. We ended up on that play with an and one, which got us another lead. So these guys trust each other. They believe in each other, and they're finding ways to win. Sometimes not through the coach, but through themselves. And to me, that's a sign of a team that's chasing the championship.
It seems to me like Gonzaga is synonymous with chemistry, with just guys buying in, everyone on the same accord. And it's been like that ever since I've been doing Capital Hoops for 12, 13 years. Is that just, that's the culture, that's what you expect, your expectations are high and they live up to it? Or is there more to it than that? I mean, you always run that backdoor play and the timing has to be so perfect on that. And it seems like it's always executed. Talk to me about that for a minute.
I mean, I think a lot of it is a little bit of everything you said. It's culture. It's the chemistry that these guys build playing with each other throughout the year, not just in the season, but it's the off-season workouts. It's the summer league. Some of these guys play on the same AAU teams, so they find a way to build great chemistry. You know, they buy into the fact that we're a team and we're we, not the individual me, and that's something that we talk about all the time. But I think it's also the brotherhood. I think Gonzaga, being an all-boys school, is a little different than a lot of the schools in our league. I mean, I think the only other all-boys school in the league is the Matha. You see a bond and a chemistry of wanting to do the most toward the others versus yourself. And I think that's something that we get out of being an all-male school. And that's why you've seen that through our tradition for years.
Guys, I know you guys have played in this league for a few years now. I'm curious to get your take on how stacked and how deep the league is. I mean, everyone considers this the best league in the country, but it seems like this year, unlike others, there's so many teams that have a very legitimate shot to win it all that could beat any team on any given night. And the parity is just at an all-time high.
Yeah, the league is the best league in the country. You got to bring it every night or you'll be beat. I think if you don't come to play, it's a good chance you'll lose. So I just think you got to bring it every night.
Anyone else?
I mean, these two can attest to it more than I have because, I mean, I played JV my freshman year and I didn't really get that much sick my sophomore year and I got injured. But yeah, I mean, growing up just under my dad, I've watched hundreds and hundreds of great players come to the league. So every year there's always been so entertaining. And like, yeah, I think this is the most wide open league's been in a while. Though.
Coach, what do you think? Would you agree that this year is more, it's deeper? Every year it's deep. Every year there's a lot of teams that can there's underdogs that can knock favorites off. But it seems like this year it's amplified even more for some reason. Would you agree with that?
There's no doubt. I mean, I think that every year I've always said there's 5 or 6 teams in our league on any given night that could win it. And I think right now you're even seeing a league that if a team that's below 500 catches lightning in the bottle the weekend of February 25th, you don't know who's going to win this league. I feel like the parity has been as good as it's ever been. And, you know, I think some of it does have to do with the COVID. Teams haven't had practices the normal way that they have. People haven't been able to work out the way that they have. I think it's opened up and it's made the playing field wide open. And you know, and you had some teams who lost some guys who left schools. So you're seeing some teams have to be a little younger. Some younger guys are getting experience and opportunity that maybe wouldn't have been there if those guys had stayed at their schools. So I think for us being the best league in the country this year really is showing why we are.
Quinn, last question is for you. Talk to me about your game a little bit. You seem to always be in the right place at the right time. It seems like you have great hands. You're always just getting these buckets down low, making moves around the basket. I mean, every time I've seen you guys, I've been so impressed with your ability to just get it done down there on the block. Talk to me about that.
I think it's just making the little effort plays. That's one thing I pride myself on. So just contributing to the team in any way I can, always being ready when these guys pass me the ball. Like I said, effort plays is the main thing that I try to do.
All right. Any parting words? Anyone have anything else they want to They want to address? All right. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate it. When's your next one? Tomorrow?
Tomorrow
Yeah.
night,
Tomorrow.
rematch with O'Connell.
Okay. All right. Well, that should be a good one. I appreciate it. I know it's a school day. You guys probably have practice, so thanks for taking a few minutes. And I will see you sooner than later.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.